today to the Lance Wallnau Show, and it's powerful, power-packed, because I got some wild footage I want you guys to see. The Elon Musk interview where the journalist is trying to corner him into realizing what price he's paying for his speaking truth about George Soros. And then, of course, Elon, in an inimitable fashion, pushes back. And it's just, you got to see that. But the storyline today is about standing for truth. I've got 24 whistleblowers exposing the FBI, weaponizing the apparatus against you. And the testimony, I'm just going to give you one of them, you're going to see, so that you can appreciate what's happening here. And while I'm looking at this, I'm saying we're actually winning, because as painful as it is to see what's going on, the truth is coming out. The unraveling is happening, and it's going to be hard for the system to suppress this much truth. Now, I'm telling you, the Bible says something about meat is for the mature, bread and milk is for babes. This is a meat broadcast. It's going to give you something to chew on. And it makes me think about what I'm chewing on also in the natural. I'm looking at the way in which the government and different agencies are taking control of food and agriculture. And there's questions about what is getting put into the meat, what's in the food. You'd be shocked to see how one way or another there's chemicals that are getting into your system that are deadly. In my opinion, they are not passing the test. So there's one company I know that does not allow any manipulation, any injection, any chemicals to be interfering with the health of their organic food product. Go to lancewallnau.com/Good Ranchers. You can get your meat there. You can literally negotiate the price you want to pay, and you can get it delivered to your home. This is one of the most important breakthroughs in terms of being able to have the food that you want with safety attached. lancewallnau.com/Good Ranchers. Check it out. This is where I get the meat that I'm going to be eating, and you need to check it out yourself. lancewallnau.com/Good Ranchers. It's hard to even know where to begin, but it's like the meltdown is happening all over the place. Now, we need to have you guys focused, because from the McCarthy fighting with the debt ceiling and what's going on with the economy to the exposure of the weaponizing of the FBI. And what's especially irritating is when Representative Jim Jordan is trying to just even get the facts out. Democrats are piling on. And remember, these are litigators and activists. They interrupt. So they're squabbling back and forth. And their whole mission is to jam the message. But I think it's going to work against them if we keep the focus on the obstruction of the will of the American people. This is the populist moment. This is what Bannon talks about. This is the fourth turning stuff of America's future. There's 80 million Americans that are not at the helm of the suppressing media group that is trying to tap down the stories or spin stories to misrepresent them. We're watching like Real America's Voice and different channels like ours. We're finding an explosion of interest, especially since Tucker got taken off. There's been a migration. It's like Fox has had their Bud Light moment, and Americans are getting frustrated. This is actually good, folks, because the populist movement, which is to a great extent fueled by Great Awakening. Great Awakening is the 30 or 40 million concerned Americans that love the country, love God, love their freedoms, and don't like the way in which they've been tolerant and they've been flexible and they've tried to avoid the hate label, and they don't want to be called nationalists, and they don't want to be called and they're finally saying, oh, the heck with it. And you know who's leading that attack? It's been brilliant minds like Jordan Peterson. And then new to this is like, Bill Maher's freaking out the left all the time. He takes his punches at Trump, and they all do their applause. But he's actually an old school liberal. He's going, this is scary what's going on. He doesn't approve of the meltdown of America the way that it's happening. It's a Marxist revolution. Victor David Hanson has said it. We've experienced a Jacobin revolution that happened on our watch, and we're just becoming aware that big corporations, big government, working with the intelligence services like the FBI and the media are actually now in the process of forcing you to eat insects in terms of cultural content every day, whether you like it or not. And guys like Elon Musk suddenly step up. And I'm frustrated with the Elon Musk bashing, because our tribe are people that are we've been watching what happens with January 6th. We've been watching what happened with the election in 2020. We're watching what happened with the fake impeachment and the Russian scenario. The lies we knew all along that America was being dragged through. Durham comes out with the report exposing it, and it's even suppressed then by media. Saying, well, what do you expect? He was put on the case by Trump when Trump said, you need to investigate the investigators. You need to be going to the FBI and checking them out. They spied on me. And I want to see if, who was it, Leslie Stahl? These pretentious, highbrow media, elites that are like, well, we're 60 Minutes. We do real news here. And Trump goes, Leslie, they spied. I'm like, he was right. He was absolutely right. Now, Elon had an interesting exchange. I'm going to play for you this, but I want to make some observations on something which you might have missed. Notice how the media, it is intentionally trying. It's almost like the devil himself talks through the journalists. Our side, the people that believe in open platforms, open dialogue, open debate, we take on these questions, but the journalists frame it like, don't you understand, Elon? You're losing market share. What about your investors? What about your business? The things you shouldn't be calling out George Soros. It's offending people. And then Elon goes, hey, I'm going to speak my own opinion. Why do you think he dropped $40 billion on Twitter? And by the way, those of you that are all obsessed with, the fact that the CEO that was put in for Twitter is, well, she has ties to the World Economic Forum. Of course she has ties to the World Economic Forum. She's got a Rolodex of every corporate big business interest, and they're all over there. Plus, she's got the rest of the Rolodex. Her job is to recapture revenue. The guy paid $20 billion more than he needed to. He's got to recapture it, so we got to protect that platform. Trust me, Elon didn't make that investment in free speech to have it taken away. So all of our paranoid, I'm going to get hate mail on this one. All our conspiracy people, just tap the hate brakes for a minute. Guys like this, you want to get behind. Let's watch the interview and watch how the interview is trying to educate Elon on, well, why are you doing this? And pushing him to have to say, I don't want to do an interview on Soros. I want to talk about other stuff. But they're going to go to that because that's the way that Leviathan spirit works. Watch this.
You do some tweets that seem to be, or at least give support to some who would call others conspiracy theories.
Well, yes, but I mean, honestly, some of these conspiracy theories have turned out to be true.
Which ones?
Well, like the Hunter Biden laptop.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that was a pretty
stop
big
right there.
deal.
Stop right there. Can you stop? Mm-hmm. Listen to what he's saying. Like, the label. Notice how they propagandize what Rush used to call the low information voter. That's conspiracy theory. That's QAnon shaman stuff. And Elon Musk is smarter than the guy interviewing him, is saying, well, there's a whole lot of conspiracy theories that were proved true. The Russia disinformation, the whole plot, the FBI never spied on Trump, that they didn't collaborate, the 50 names that were signing off on the Russian origin of the laptop, all that was untrue. So Elon just throws off one off the top and said, the Biden laptop, and the guy goes, that's true? That's true. You hear planting the doubt, like, you think that's true? It's not Russian disinformation? Keep going.
Twitter and others engaged in active suppression of information that was relevant to the public. That's a terrible thing that happened. That's election interference.
But how do you make a choice? You don't see, I mean, in terms of when you're going to engage. I mean, for example, even today, Elon, you tweeted this thing about George Soros. Well, I'm looking for it because I want to make sure I quote it properly. But, I mean, you know what you wrote. But you basically...
It reminds me of Magneto. This is like, calm down, people. This is not like made a federal case out of it.
You also... you said he wants to erode the very fabric of civilization, and Soros hates humanity. Like, when you do something like that, do you
I think that's true. That's my opinion.
Okay, but why share it? Why share it? Especially, why share it when people who buy Teslas may not agree with you, advertisers on Twitter may not agree with you, Why not just say, hey, I think this. You can tell me. We can talk about it over there. You can tell your friends. But why share it widely?
I mean, this is freedom of speech. I'm allowed to say what I want.
You absolutely are. But I'm trying to understand why you do, because you have to know it's got a. It puts you in the middle of the partisan divide in the country. It makes you a lightning rod for criticism. I mean, do you like that? People today saying he's an anti-Semite. I don't think you are.
No, I'm definitely. I'm like a pro-Semite, if anything.
I believe that probably is the case.
Yes.
But why would you even introduce the idea then that would be the case?
I mean, look, we don't want to make this a George Soros interview.
All right,
No, God, no.
stop
I
right
don't
there.
wanna
All right,
go.
stop it. You see what Elon is realizing is he's saying, calm down, people. I'm not like a metacritic. I'm not using my whole platform and my brand in order to take on George Soros. I'm speaking my opinion as an American citizen. Then he said something which is important. There was Twitter and others engaged in active suppression of information that was relevant to the public. The FBI, the intelligence community, the White House was literally engaged in people's personal messages. They were running Twitter, and it was a psyops. It was a psychological operation from the deep state to control the narrative, because Twitter is where the newspapers, which were controlled information, were trying to say, these are the stories and the narrative that you need to be pushing, and these are the voices you need to be suppressing. Guys like Mike Davis, you guys need to check him out. Here's a man who is like the insider who is standing up for us inside with Senator Grassley, doing the expose on the FBI being weaponized against you and me. And these guys are all being suppressed. And Elon says, hey, I bought the company. I know the data. The government was actively involved. And by the way, you know what they did? When the guy was on the Hill, the journalist that Elon had exposing the story, while he's on the Hill, this is like hard to believe because the news didn't cover it. The IRS was basically breaking into the guy's personal life, going into his records, going to his house, going to his office to try to it's pure intimidation. The IRS being used as a weapon of the state to go after a journalist who was exposing the government getting involved with Twitter. You think that there would have been appropriate response in media? No, the media is bought off and controlled by the same people that put interviewers like this in front of a man to basically sack him and say, why are you making such a big deal about Soros? I don't want to talk about Soros. I want to talk about something else. Yeah, but since we're talking about Soros, how come you sound like an anti-Semite? Go ahead and play the rest of this.
But what I'm trying, even came up though in the annual meeting. I mean, do your tweets hurt the company? Are there Tesla owners who say, I don't agree with his political position and I know it because he shares so much of it? Or are there advertisers on Twitter that Linda Yaccarino will come and say, you got to stop, man. Or, I can't get these ads because of some of the things you tweet.
Long pause as he frames his response. The thinking mind of Elon. Right now, you can see the thought bubble. And here he comes.
I'm reminded of the scene in The Princess Bride. Great movie.
Great movie.
Where he confronts the person who killed his father. And he says, offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
So you just don't care.
So you just don't care? It's because he cares, knucklehead. It's because he cares. Stand with guys like this. They're standing for you. All right, we're going to take a quick break and come right back. You don't want to miss the rest of this. We're doing a forensic, folks, on what's happening in front of your very eyes. We'll be right back.
The spirit of betrayal is now getting broken off your business.
Every experience,
Broken off your finance.
every challenge,
Getting broken off your marriages.
every triumph has been preparing you for this moment.
The Lord is taking territory in his people and where his people live.
Join us for Dream Trip 2023 in Carlsbad, California, where you will unlock your door to destiny,
There is a hunger for awakening.
gain clarity,
The challenge is that many of us don't understand where that awakening is going to take us.
align with your purpose,
And a true awakening of the nature of which God is sending isn't just for our own personal refreshing or revitalization.
and receive the commission to move forward boldly.
It's actually to shift and to change the status quo.
Through immersive experiences, you will be equipped with tools and resources to help you unlock your full potential. Join us for Dream Trip 2023 in Carlsbad, California. Your time is now. Don't miss out on this life-changing experience.
One of the sobering realities is the FBI, the intelligence community. This is what Darren Beatty's been telling us for a long time as he's been working on, his research on the weaponizing of the intelligence community. When we are now exposing the FBI's involvement with Trump to destroy his presidency, John Brennan helping to facilitate the signing of 50 fictitious signatures in order to suppress the truth about the Biden laptop, the Biden corruption that they all know about and they cover for at the IRS and the FBI, working with the Democratic deep state. You have to listen now to what you're not hearing from the actual whistleblowers in the FBI who are saying, we're coming forward to tell you there's dangerous, bad management taking over the FBI. They are forcing us to go after fictitious, white supremacist incidents, and we're not taking care of real investigations because it feeds the narrative the party wants for their communist propaganda. I want you to hear the whistleblower and listen closely to him as though it was your brother, your father, your friend. Listen to this.
I've sworn to defend this country from enemies, both foreign and domestic, even if that means sacrificing my life. I've lived that oath out since first enlisting in the Army, consistently saying, here am I, send me. My oath, however, did not include sacrificing the hopes, dreams, and livelihood of my family, my strong, beautiful, and courageous wife, and our 4 sweet and beautiful daughters who have endured this process along with me. In weaponized fashion, the FBI allowed me to accept orders to a new position halfway across the country. They allowed us to sell my family's home. They ordered me to report to the new unit when our youngest daughter was 2 weeks old. Then, on my first day on the new assignment, they suspended me, rendering my family homeless. They refused to release our goods, including our clothes, for weeks. All I wanted to do was serve my country by stopping bad guys and protecting the innocent. To my chagrin, bad guys have begun running parts of the government, making it difficult to continue to serve this nation and protect the innocent. But I, for one, will never stop trying, and I'll never forget my oath.
Bad guys are running the government. I went to the FBI in order to stop the criminals, and the criminals are destroying my life. You know, I heard Hannity would always say this. He'd say, 90%, 99% of my parents have been in police and law enforcement, and they're mostly good, but there's a couple of bad. No, stop that. There's a couple of good, and they're being driven out or they're being suppressed. Would you come forward to the government? Would you come forward as a whistleblower, knowing that your career is going to be destroyed? And there's listen to the emotion in this guy as his wife and children suffer because he's standing up for you and me. If I sound intense, it's appropriate. I want you to hear the question put to him. What would you tell other whistleblowers if they have information about the suppression of the laptop, about Biden's crimes? What would you say? Where are the whistleblowers right now that are hiding out, that won't even come forward because the government attacks them? This ought to fuel the populist base. Watch this.
And Mr. O'Boyle, we just heard from your interaction with Mr. Gates and how all of this occurred and all of the hardships you've gone through. If one of your really good friends, your former colleagues, came to you and said, I have this thing that is being covered up, and I think the American people need to know about it, what advice would you give them?
I would tell them first to pray about it, long and hard. And I would tell them I could take it to Congress for them, or I could put them in touch with Congress, but I would advise them not to do it.
So you would legitimately try to protect one of your colleagues from doing what you have done?
Absolutely.
And how do you think that solves being able to shine light on corruption, weaponization, any kind of misconduct that exists with the American people?
It doesn't solve it, but the FBI will crush you. This government will crush you and your family if you try to expose the truth about things that they are doing that are wrong. And we are all examples of that.
I can't think of a more sobering way to end a hearing. I yield back.
What more do you need? And the fact that Anderson Cooper isn't covering this story, the Rachel Maddow, is she still around? Whoever. And the fact that this news isn't being covered, that's the cover-up. That's the danger of where we're at. It's the state-controlled media. I don't know, Chelsea, do we have the Jim Jordan video of him debriefing on the whistleblowers that say pro-life groups, Catholics, are the target of government? I don't know. Why is it Catholics all the time? Don't we have any good Pentecostals out there that are targets of government? The FBI's Washington, D.C. field office wanted to open investigations without predication, meaning without cause, going into these pro-life Catholic areas. This is I don't know, can you click on that? Can we hear that video? The whistleblowers say pro-life groups and Catholic. I'm going to read you what Jim Jordan said. If you're a parent attending a school board meeting, if you're a pro-lifer praying at a clinic, if you're a Catholic simply going to Mass, you're a target of the government, a target of the FBI. Jordan said this, adding that officials attempted to inflate their investigations to treat them as domestic extremism. This is the next iteration of what's going to happen. If we don't turn this around, you're going to see the media and you're going to see the corrupt Department of Injustice with the Special Intelligence Services going after every one of you who dares raise a voice of alarm, and they're going to say, you are one of the violent extremists. Jordan said his committee spoke with over 24, that's 24 FBI whistleblowers. 24 FBI, and those are the ones that have the courage to come out. And they said the department is off the rails. Christopher Wray needs to leave. The whistleblowers face backlash from the FBI after saying what they had to say. A lot of the rot the committee has learned emerges out of headquarters, out of the Washington field office. First of all, I say kill Pelosi's $130 million FBI new building project. That's the first thing Congress has to do. You guys need to stop. Put a squeeze on their new building. They don't need a new building. What we need is a bulldozer. We need to invest in bulldozers and start over. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking. I'll tell you what, this just gets me. Mercedes.
Yes, sir.
When you're listening, I got Mercedes Sparks here to keep me on track, to keep me focused. And every now and then she goes, smile. I'm smiling as I tell you. We should bulldoze the FBI.
I just wonder, like, sometimes it feels like, is art imitating life or is life imitating art? Where there's so many, like, you think about Marvel and you think about like where Hydra takes over the government. You got Captain America, and all of a sudden they're all in the elevator, and Captain America's trying to blend in because, you know, he knows they're all Hydra agents, and he's like, "Hail Hydra!" And you know, you just think, I mean, there's so many plot lines of internal takeover. Like, I just got done watching the new Star Trek series with Larry, and it's all about that.
Larry's her husband. By
Larry's
the
my
way.
husband, and it's all about that. It's all about the Star Trek Academy being taken over from the inside by a subversive group, and I'm like, good golly, does that sound like the plot line of what's happening at the FBI right now? I mean, it just, like, when you say these bad guys are in power, and then, but you've got good guys intermixed who are trying to fight against it. So it's just fascinating to me where, like, that's the subtext in a lot of cultural media. And then we have real life at the FBI.
I'll tell you, half the problem is you can't get the truth out there. So you got to go to sources like us. You guys are smart. You're watching this kind of a show. But the real problem is the 40 million Christians that attend church intermittently, who aren't even registered to vote, who don't vote, who think that somehow Donald Trump has a master plan that he's pulling off, and all you got to do is sit back, pop the popcorn in your mouth, and just watch. Trump has it all sorted out. No, that's another deception that gets people off base. The FBI, I have news for you. This isn't bad enough. Daily Mail. FBI is shutting down 4 investigations. Oh, some more news, breaking news. The FBI is shutting down 4 investigations into Hillary and Bill Clinton in 2016. That was revealed by the Durham report. They have at least 4 criminal investigations that were shut down months before the presidential election and never reopened. They've got stuff on them. The long-awaited report by Special Counsel John Durham, released on Monday, shows the FBI began investigating claims as far back as 2014 from well-placed confidential sources that 2 foreign governments were trying to make illegal donations to buy influence. Well, what do you think? You think that Biden's the only guy that has $10 million? He's small potatoes. Matter of fact, he's the gang that couldn't shoot straight. What they're really upset about, what Hillary Clinton and those guys are upset about, is he was so unsophisticated in doing it. Hunter leaves his laptop, exposes it. Bubelinsky comes out and says he's got the goods on 10% to the top guy. He's still waiting for the corrupt FBI to have an interview with him. Hey, I've got the goods on that guy. Oh, we don't want to talk to you now. We can't discuss that. It's still being investigated. So investigators were even offered documents of one alleged $2,700 illegal contribution that led to a substantial further donation. What do you think happens with these reports? They shut down the 4 investigations, and that doesn't even include the investigation that has been shut down into Hunter Biden, the team that has the goods on him. Folks, what does it take? What I think our problem is we can almost get confused. You know how a lion tamer actually doesn't have as much strength as a lion, but how does a lion tamer overpower the lion? Creates the impression that they're more powerful than the lion. Why a chair? Have you ever noticed that? I tried bringing chairs into staff meetings, holding them up, but it doesn't work. My people are too smart. They know what I'm up to. The chair is held up because the lion is focusing on 4 legs, and in the confusion, the crack of the whip and the command, the lion goes to the next place. The chair isn't really a threat to the lion. It's confusing them, and that's the way even the news cycle works. Natalie, you remember the girl Natalie Holloway who got abducted 10 years ago in Aruba? The deep state goes, get that story out. Remember when Natalie Holloway, everybody was talking about, it's like Chandra Levy, the missing intern in California. That was the story till 9/11. Then when real news happened, it was no longer a story. Why? The intelligence community controls the narrative by distraction. Well, I can't believe we're out of time already, but this is what happens. We get lost in the conversation. It's always good to have these precise discussions about what's going on in the world. And I'm praying for you right now that you're going to be able to have the mind of Christ. That is the ability to take what's happening and realize that God is working everything together according to his purpose and his plan. And I believe that purpose and plan is working out for you. Looking forward to seeing you again on tomorrow's broadcast.